Timelapses can be a really great cinematic tool to help tell your story. They can help you transition between different scenes, can be used as a storytelling device, and just genuinely look pretty damn cool. Now, one of the bad things of time-lapses is that they're generally static, so it's just your camera and a tripod taking a time-lapse of the one frame, the one shot. So the cool thing about this little guy here is that because it has that hyper smooth stabilization, you can actually take a time lapse that's motion stabilized. So you're able to actually walk around, drive around, or do pretty much anything you want and turn that into a time lapse, or what GoPro calls the Timewarp mode, for a time lapse with hyper smooth stabilization. Some people also call it hyperlapse, but it's the same thing. So let's take a look at how that works and how you can actually do that. All of these time-lapse settings are actually just in your function button on the GoPro. So just hit the mode or power button until you get to the time-lapse function. Now here in the bottom left, you can switch between time warp and time-lapse modes. A time-lapse video is just going to be your standard time-lapse. It's usually best for when you're stationary or just taking a static time-lapse. The one we're really interested here is the time warp mode, because that'll employ that hyperwarp smooth stabilization onto the time-lapse. So you can take your time-lapse while you're moving around or doing different things. Now here where it says 1080p and wide, we can change the resolution. We can go all the way up to 4K, but I find that 1080p just tends to stabilize a little better. For your field of view, you can only set it to wide. So keep in mind that you're gonna have a really wide angle. And if you're trying to film an actual subject, you're gonna have to get real close to them. As far as the speed, we can go all the way up to 30 times and down to 2 times speed. Now, as you can see the difference here at 30 times, it gives you a little margin that 5 minutes of recording creates about 10 seconds of video at 30 times speed, whereas with 2 times, a minute creates about 30 seconds. What you want to use here really depends on 1, how long you're going to be filming for, and 2, what exactly you're filming. If you're filming something that's moving really slow or for a long time, you're going to want to go faster. And if you're filming something that's moving pretty quick, or you're only going to be filming for a couple of minutes, you're going to want to choose one of the lower speeds. I find that 5 and 10 times works best for me, but you can really just play around with this. Once you have all this set up, just hit the record button and you're all set to record a time lapse with the incorporated stabilization. You don't need to do any editing or any extra settings on or off camera. So even though I'm recording handheld without any tripod or any form of stabilization, it'll still smooth the video out with that hyper smooth stabilization after I'm done recording it. On top of that, you can also add your own stabilization in post-production, and you're gonna get super smooth footage. This video was shot using the GoPro Hero 7, but you can also use the newest version, the 8, and it'll have the same features. The menu system looks a little different, so the buttons might be in different places, but it's pretty much the same thing. If you found this useful, make sure to like the video, leave any questions or doubts you have in the comment section, and subscribe for more content.